Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new series. This series is going to be called Car Mechanic Simulator 2018. And what we will be doing in this series is we will be going off on an adventure to build, or rebuild I should say, every car in the game with performance parts. And then some. It will not be every car in the game, since there are a lot, and some cars we will probably never see. However, we are going to be going after a lot of cars and doing them, and also doing mod cars. So, this game is being played on Steam, so I have a whole bunch of mods, and hopefully we get some to take care of. So off we go to the junkyard to go get our first car. Now, Car Mechanic Simulator 2018 came out a little while ago, about in 2017. I forget the time frame that it came out in, but it's been out for a little while now. We've had many an update, many a DLC, and currently I have everything except for the Porsche DLC. So if there's any Porsche cars or anything that requires the DLC, we will not be getting them at this time. However, in the future, we will be. So, as we load in, I guess I should explain the controls. The controls are very simple. You move around with the WASD keys. Left mouse button will be your friend, and the right mouse button will be your friend. And those will be used for various actions as we get to them. So let's walk around, see what we can find. In the junkyard, you can go up to certain junk piles. Here we go. And if we hold the mouse button, as you can see, we have a whole bunch of parts here. And a lot of these are DLC parts. In fact, I don't even think there's... oh no. V12, that's stock. A stock part. So let's go around and see what we can find. We will also be playing with creative or sandbox mode, and the reason why is so that if we run into cars like this, we don't have to worry about the insane price. So Lamborghini Miura. So inside here it will say whether or not it's a mod or not, how many miles the car has, current color and factory, its horsepower, and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So Lamborghini Miura, beautiful car. So if we open up the car, we can sit inside the car. Certain cars, apparently this car we cannot. But as you can see, it doesn't look like much of a Miura. So we're gonna wait and see on that one. We will most likely be picking up that car. However, I want to see if there's anything else here before we do anything. Speak of the devil, Ford pickup. Let's see what car this is. Oh, my apologies, it's a police cruiser Ford Bronco. Alright, so let's see if we can sit in this one. Of course we can't. Once again, another mod vehicle. Also, this one is a little special. This one says Police Interceptor. Or Police Cruiser, my apologies. So the Police Cruiser we will be... is one of those specialty vehicles. Because it will normally just say Ford Bronco Mark III and then like standard V8 and so on and so forth. We will be aiming for vehicles that are stock and or a certain condition. We won't be looking for resto mod vehicles, and we will not be looking for like any insane vehicles. We'll come to those as we get to them. Here we got BMW M1 or 1M Coupe. And apparently no engine swaps are available on this car. Which over here on the Bronco, we have engine swap options. Again, we'll probably just keep her stock when we get to it. Here we have another Lamborghini. This one being the LM002. This one does feature a V12. Typical fashion, so what the car would have come with. And here we go. Believe this is a... Yes. So, vehicles like this, for example, we will not be going for. Well, yes, this is a specific edition. It's lowered. And quite frankly, I'd go for the standard edition. 1970 black. I honestly have no idea what that means. I think it's just standard edition, but it is the old school carburetor engine, so we will most definitely be getting that. And this looks like a gasser. No, it's a Ford Thunderbolt. Okay. Again, there will be certain special edition cars I will consider getting, of course, the Thunderbolt being one of them. Due to the fact that, yes, this is a Ford Fairlane, however, it was an edition that was released to the general public, that you could buy, and that is the main goal of the series. Restore cars, and all of that. So, we're gonna go around and pick up a lot of cars. So, of course, our first car will be a Lamborghini Miura. There we go. Every time you buy a car, it will be saved in your progress. And it will, well, it will just be saved. We are going to get the Bronco. Police cruiser. We'll be getting BMW M1. Pretty much we will be getting every car with the exception of the Lincoln. Nothing against the Men in Black, but we just won't be getting it. Oh, this vehicle we can actually sit in, so the LM002. So if we go in, we right click, we can attempt to start the vehicle. This vehicle will most likely not start. Yes, so it's missing the starter, unfortunately. Many of these junkyard vehicles will not start, unfortunately, just due to the fact that it's missing parts. Like the starter. We can also show that off here. So these are all the parts that we can currently see. These are all parts we have unknown conditions of. And down at the bottom, surprisingly, not a lot of parts missing from this engine. Very weird. Let's see if this one will crank. No, it will not. I can automatically just tell by the way that the starter is not there. So let's buy you. Go to the garage. And let's go pick up that Ford Thunderbolt. Which will be sent off to parking, due to the fact that we can only have 5 vehicles inside the garage at any given moment in time, even though there's approximately 10 spaces in the garage that you can have, but we will be getting to those as we get to them. Some spaces we will not be utilizing, while others we will be. And not every episode will be containing going out to the junkyard and picking up cars. These will approximately be 30-minute long episodes, and will contain which vehicle we work on, primarily. So if we say finish a car, it will be in its own separate video, and then we will move on to the next one. Cars also appear in a variety of different ways in this game. As you can see, we bought the Lamborghini Miura first, but it's currently in the back. Whereas when we bought the M1, that was the third car we bought, and it is now moved to our first position, the bay. So we are actually going to move cars around. We're going to move this vehicle over to the Giant. Okay, we're going to move that vehicle to the paint shop. this vehicle over to the lifter, the first lifter, and we are going to move our BMW back. The BMW will be our third car that we work on. So we're going to start off with a very interesting car, the Lamborghini Miura. So we'll work on the Miura, then the Bronco, then we will go to the M1, and then so on and so forth. By the time we get down to our last car, which will be the Thunderbolt, which is currently inside the parking lot, we will show that off at a later time. We will move it out here, and then proceed to go get more cars. So, without further ado, what I normally will do in this series is strip down anything that is obviously apparent or easily accessible. So, as you can see, many body parts of this car is missing. However, there's certain ones that can be removed. So, let's just go around, remove all the body parts that we can, which doesn't appear to be many. Go inside, see if we can take anything off. Generally, I won't take anything off of the engine until the very end, where we will take the engine completely out, put it on the bench, and then we will go from there. And actually, this vehicle is relatively good on the engine, which is very rare. Normally, you won't find that good of an engine inside of the cars. For example, the V12 over here, as you can see, it's all rusty, torn apart and all that. This engine actually appears to be in relatively good shape, which is very surprising. So, if we were doing just a basic restoration, flip the car, I wouldn't do anything to this. However, that is not the point of this series. The other point is to also build them to be performance machines. Now, this car does not have any engine swaps available. We will not be doing any engine swaps, and we'll be keeping the base engines inside. With the exception of if it's a single carburetor engine, we will then move up to a dual carburetor. So we're not going to put like a V6, V12 inside of a inline 4 engine if it had something available like that. And so on and so forth. Also, if the engine did not come with a supercharger, it will not get one. The only reason I say that is because some mods will not have the body parts available, and the blower will stick out and it will kind of look weird. So, as you can see, there is different parts that we can remove in the interior menu, and then we can also assemble stuff, as you can tell by that little white outline of a steering wheel that was briefly there. And this car has no seats that we can add. That's normal for some mods, so it's not anything we shouldn't expect. Unfortunately, we can't remove the engine yet until the gearbox is removed, and that will be moved over to the engine stand over there. Generally speaking, these cars will not have any engine and oil inside of them, so they will not be able to start on their own. So after we strip down the car to its bare basics, we are going to lift the car up all the way. And proceed to undoing all the bolts. And removing everything that we can. So, starters, we will remove the front engine assembly, or the front suspension. If this was a front engine car, we'd have the engine to deal with, of course, but since this is a mid-mounted engine, we don't have to worry about anything, and it's a relatively easy process up ahead. There is a specific order as well as you can tear down parts. So, for example, this part, the bottom suspension arm, we cannot remove until we remove the double wishbone suspension piece. There is certain parts where you will question the order that they come off on. However, generally speaking, they will come off with ease. Most of the time, and they will make some sense. We'll run into some parts where it will not make any sense, like for example, the main culprits are the steering knuckles. Because you have to pretty much remove everything and the parts floating. Not a good design choice in my opinion, but a design choice nonetheless. I wish they would fix that, but they probably won't. So for our first vehicle, we'll be doing an entire teardown of everything, especially the engine, when we get to it. In the future, after we've done certain vehicles with the certain suspensions, we'll cut them out, the teardown, and we'll just do the rebuild process. But for this first vehicle, we will do a full-on teardown because this is a very unique vehicle. Generally speaking, you will have inline fours in the front, or front-mounted engines, but we have a mid-mounted one, so this is actually generally a unique vehicle to do. Also, frame rate issue, right there. These mod cars can be a little buggy, and the more that you have, the worse the game performs. Not any fault of the game, but when you overload the game with them, it tends to get unhappy. So as you can see, this car itself generally... Oh yes, I forgot about this. So to remove the gearbox, you have to remove the starter. Now, the main problem I have with this game is certain parts cannot be removed unless you're at a certain height. Now, you may be saying to yourself, oh, well that makes sense, you know, can't do anything, can't remove parts a certain way, they wouldn't work. However, my problem comes when it's like, okay, you can't reach the part normally, you have to lower the car just to get the part out, then raise it back up to get the rest of the components out. The starter is my #1 problem with this. We'll see it later on different vehicles where it really doesn't make any sense. However, on this one, it did make sense to remove it with the vehicle down. On the ground, so you just have to lower it, get that out, raise it back up to get the transmission out, and all will be well. Apparently we also have to remove the exhaust manifolds before we can remove the exhaust itself. Which on this car is not in an easy location, and could be easily forgotten. I also don't believe you have to remove this part before doing an inline 4 or an inline 6 on the bench. However, it's better safe than sorry to do it now instead of have to worry about it later. So let's just remove the gearbox, and the gearbox is actually in relatively good shape too. In fact, a lot of components on this engine are in relatively good shape, so it will be a very basic teardown. With everything left, we're going to lower down the vehicle, and we're going to head over here and grab our engine crane. Be sure to put the engine crane in the proper position for whichever car you're working on. So for example, lifter A, lifter B, and lifter C. We're going to move our welder over there. Here's a very great tip. Whenever you have a vehicle whenever you have a battery, which 99.9% of the vehicles will come with them, be sure to take it over to your battery charger. It will instantly charge the battery up to 100%. You don't have to buy another battery, and it is extremely helpful. Now, in a very rare occurrence, your vehicle doesn't come with a battery, you're going to have to buy one, but on this car, we had a battery. So we are going to remove the engine from the engine crane. There are no engine parts in a car. Okay. That is very interesting. Huh. Is the engine crane broken? No, it is not. Well, this is very weird. I've never encountered this glitch before. Or this problem. Generally, it doesn't have any problems with... Huh. Well, I guess we're gonna have to do the engine teardown on the engine itself, with the engine still inside the car. Okay. Which isn't a problem. I was just hopeful that we wouldn't have to do that, since it will consist of us raising and lowering the vehicle a lot. Very interesting. I guess again, the game doesn't like rear engine vehicles, so okay. So let's start tearing down the engine, I guess. We aren't going to be tearing down the whole engine, however, we will pretty much be tearing down the whole engine, down to the block. Also, with all new components, you will get some glare, so that is to be expected. So we're going to remove a lot of the components. We are not going to remove everything. However, we're going to take out the intake system, the camshafts, the cylinder head, and the pistons themselves. We will also be removing the alternator, I believe the power steering pump is a specialty part, the clutches, and all of that. Because there are various parts that are performance parts. The water pump is not one, so we do not have to worry about it. Unfortunately, on this engine, we are going to have to tear apart. Actually, can we avoid? Yes. Alright. It's been also a very long time since I've played this game, so I do apologize if I seem to forget which parts can be removed and which ones cannot. Also, in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, you can see that the part's name and the part's condition. Because this engine is 100%, you do not have to worry about a single thing. I know, it kind of seems cheap that, you know, we don't have to worry about doing this, but we are going for performance, so everything must come out. With that, the cylinder head should be able to come off. Yes, it does. Unfortunately, this game does stem away from the realism. There is no coolant, there is no, well, there is oil, but there is certain things where it just doesn't add up, unfortunately, and it kind of derives from the experience of this game, from working on an actual vehicle. There is no brake fluid, there is no gaskets, bearings. Well, actually that's a lie, there are some bearings, but the overall process is a little more easy than actually working on a car. Of course, they are not going to go full on in detail, but it would have been nice. Oh, shoot, actually, as you can see, a whole bunch of parts, and that's why doing the engine inside the car is a lot more tedious. There we go, and we have to lower the vehicle again. As you can see, our dreaded raising and lowering of the vehicle is getting to us. And remove all of the pistons with their connecting rods. And there we go. Now, we are going to use our cleaning equipment, and our interior detail does what it says it does. Details the interior. And once we're done, we're going to move it back over by the office. Our welder is used to clean up the car itself. So now we have a bright and shiny Lamborghini Miura with a somewhat complete engine. It's not completely gone, but it's not completely there. Over here is our spring puller, so you can remove suspension components or build them. Fortunately, we do not have suspension components yet, so we are going to have to go buy some new ones, since you cannot rebuild every component, which we will get to very shortly, and we'll be wrapping up this episode with. Over here, we have a tire balancer and a tire puller. So the tire puller does what it says it does, pulls the tires off the rims, and it can also add tires. And once you get a new tire on a new rim, you have to balance it. So, and this is very accurate to real life as well. The balancer is hit or miss. Sometimes it will go very quickly, and sometimes it will take a while for it to decide. Normally, it does it within 3 stops. Over here on the repair bench is how do we repair our parts. So, because I maxed out the account, repair chance is extremely high. As you can see, it's a 99% chance, however parts can still fail. The bare minimum is 95. Unfortunately, there isn't a repair all button, so you have to mash through the repairs. As you just heard, a part broke. This is going to happen, of course, and not a lot. It will happen sometimes, unless you're extremely unlucky. But hopefully we don't break a lot of parts. Again, we're on a sandbox, so it doesn't really matter, but it is just helpful in the long run. And that is going to be it for this episode of Car Mechanic Simulator. We got the Miura tore down, and next time we will be going back in and finishing her up and rebuilding her. So if you liked what you see, be sure to come back, and I will see you guys next time.